So today we're going to talk about Screencastify. And Screencastify is an extension through Google Chrome. So if you do not have Screencastify already added, we do need to add that to your Chrome extension. So you can see mine is up here at the top. So it looks like a little arrow with the camera in it. And that allows me to control Screencastify to be able to record and save my videos. So if you do not already have that, you can just search for Screencastify. This is also going to be your resource page. You can see that mine already says already installed. Yours might say add to Chrome. But you will also be able to find additional information here, such as if you wanted to go for the full version, what the pricing would be, and also different resources that you would use for yourself, such as the beginner's guide to Screencastify. So I really don't have a whole lot of handouts because a lot of the resources that you need are already here in the Screencastify website. So again, I just went to school and I went to resources, and inside the resources is the beginner's guide to Screencastify. I'll also show you a spot as well inside of the Screencastify extension that you can also get to these resources as well. So I don't know how many of you are going to actually want to follow along recording while I am talking. That might be a little bit difficult because remember, Zoom is using your camera as well as Screencastify and as well as the sound. So it does make it a little bit difficult because both of them are using the same two items on your computer. So once you have the Screencastify extension installed, you will see it across your bar. So this gives you your menu. So the first time through, you might have to approve Google. So it's going to ask for your Google sign-in. So of course you want to use your school one. It's going to say that it wants to access Drive. Yes, you want to approve that because it automatically puts a folder into My Drive. And I'm going to show you that real quick. So here's my drive. I actually have mine in an additional folder, but it will automatically create a folder called Screencastify. So the first time you make a recording, this folder automatically shows up, and then it organizes every single recording that you've done through the Screencastify extension. So it's really nice. It's very organized. You can rename them. You can use them in Google Classroom. You can send them via email, but you know where to go find them because they're always in My Drive. Okay, so we are going to look at the extension. So I'm going to click on my Screencastify extension, and there are 3 different ways that you can record through Screencastify. Also notice that it says with the free version, everything that I'm going to show you today is the free version. It will ask you to upgrade. Right now, I think I think it's for 30 days you get the upgraded version, but with the free version, you get 5 minutes per video. And you can have as many recordings as you need. There is basic editing in the free version. There's not complete editing. So you can crop or trim from the beginning or the end of your video, but you can't merge multiple videos together with the free version. So while I'm talking, you can see that I have already approved my microphone. So you can see that it is picking up my voice. I can also enable the webcam, which means when I start recording, it is going to allow me to see myself in the recording. And then I have other options, and these options are based on what I select. So you will see it says see more options, something called a countdown. I love this feature. I need a little bit more time before the recording starts. So you'll see that there's 3 seconds, 5 seconds, or 10 seconds. And I believe it defaults to 3 seconds. So it's a 3, 2, 1 countdown. I like a little bit more time to make sure I have everything set. So once I've set that one time, all my other recordings are going to maintain that 5 seconds. My drawing tools, this is something that you can turn on and off as you are going through. Your drawing tools will allow you to highlight your mouse, use the pen tool, turn on and off your webcam, different things like that. So I like those on from the start, but you can always turn them off. So we're just going to start, we're kind of going to start backwards and look at how Screencastify works through these. So our first one is the webcam only. So this would be if you are recording, you want to record a lesson for your students, and you want to show the camera. Maybe you want to show some math manipulatives. Maybe you want to show or do a reading for your elementary students, so you can do a book reading. So anything like that that you just want you visible, or something you are posting into the camera. Notice I don't have the option to turn on and off the camera, because that's what it does, is it records the camera. So with that, I'm going to click on record. You're going to see the 5-second countdown. It's going to turn on my camera automatically. You should be able to see me. Okay, you will see a few things at the bottom. You're going to see your counting timer. I have the ability to pause, and I have the ability to stop. Okay, so I'm going to pause that. I just want to double check with everybody. Because I shared my screen, I believe you're seeing my additional camera. You might not be able to hear me. I saw Lisa posted that in the chat, because it is, again, it is taking those two. I'm going to stop this. Okay, so because I'm using Screencastify and Zoom together, it doesn't allow both microphones to work at the same time. So, and it's weird seeing myself talk while I'm talking and my lips aren't following what the video is. But you'll see as soon as I hit stop, it created the recording across. So it's 9 seconds long. It automatically saved it into my drive. So it's showing over here on the side. And then I have some basic features that I can crop. So you can see I have little scissors at the beginning and the end. I can unmute if I wanted to hear it, and I can play it again if I needed to. So because I'm doing a web recording, you'll see that it automatically puts it as untitled. So any recording, just the webcam, is going to be untitled, and it's going to date and timestamp it. So with the untitled, I can click here. Now, if I want to do this, so maybe I want to call this Lunch and Learn, and I could put a date, I can put, a topic, Screencastify, and it's going to automatically save that. Okay, you will see a few things. So now I have this. So where do I see this video? What can I do with it? So I'm going to switch back over to my drive. You'll see that it automatically created, and it flashed before your eyes. It now says Lunch and Learn Screencastify. So I didn't tell it where to save. I didn't have to direct it anywhere. It automatically puts it into this folder. Okay, so let me switch back. So let's look at doing something else. So now I created this recording. I want to go back and see it. I can come into my drive, or when I click on my Screencastify extension, I have this little button that looks like the play symbol. This allows me to see all of my recordings. So you can see here are my different recordings. Okay, so here's my Lunch and Learn. Here are some other ones that I've created. Here is a book reading, or it was actually a cartoon. So this was a Google slideshow, and I just read through it. And I was able to control how fast my screen was and so forth. But you can see some of them are screens, some of them are me. So this is also a great way for students, and you can see my kids down here at the bottom. You can see my daughter was reading a book. So for those of you that are elementary, students can use this. I know some schools, and I know I have some Black River people on there, this is pushed out to all the students. So they have the ability to do their recordings, but you can do reading, so you can check for fluency and so forth. They can do demonstrations. So this was my son doing his little band project. He had to send it to his band instructor. So that's how he would communicate some of his lessons. So a lot of different things in here. Also, you can create animated GIFs, or some people call it GIFs, but animated GIFs. So for those of you that log into the progress book page, I've put some animated GIFs on there, and I've done the recordings through Screencastify because it's simple. So couple things that I want to show you with my recordings, and then we'll go on to the other ways that you can record. So first, I created this recording. If I come into my Google Drive, I can do whatever I normally do with a Drive file. If I want to make a copy of this, I can make a copy just like I normally would. Make a copy, and you'll see it'll generate a new one. If I want to remove something, I can click on it and I can remove. However, when I'm working in Google Drive, it works from Screencastify and puts it into Drive, but Drive doesn't talk back to Screencastify. So because I deleted that, I made a copy and I also deleted something. If I go back into my Screencastify, you'll see two things, and I refreshed my page so you can double check. That recording does not disappear, because that recording is stored with the Screencastify extension. You will also notice I made that copy and put it into the folder. Well, it doesn't automatically show up here because I did not make that recording in Screencastify. The only videos that will show is the ones that you made through Screencastify in my recordings. Okay. Now, here's the difference. So here is my intro to Screencastify. It's here in my recordings in the Screencastify extension. It's also in my drive right here called Intro to Screencastify. So if I go back to my recordings and I click on my delete from here, from my Screencastify extension, you will see that it says deleting will remove Intro to Screencastify from your device. So that is because it's removing from the Screencastify extension, as well as your Drive account. Okay, because remember, Screencastify talks to Drive, but Drive doesn't talk back to Screencastify. So now if I hit delete, it removed it from my recordings. If I go in here, if you saw that quickly, it removed it from my Drive file as well. Okay, so if I remove or change anything in here, it does not affect my recordings here. But if I make a change in my recordings, it will affect my Drive folder. Any questions with that? I'm going to pause for a moment and look at the chat. Okay. Advantages making YouTube videos and posting. Well, good question, Kendra. So I'm going to show you that as we go through and make a few more recordings. The nice thing about Screencastify is it will work directly with Google Classroom and it works directly with YouTube. So if you have a YouTube channel, you can post it right to your channel. And or if you have a Google Classroom, you can post directly into the Google Classroom. You can also use any of your recordings in Google Slideshows. So Google Slides does not allow a lot of different video types, but it does allow Screencastify videos as well as YouTube, which you know. So even if you do post it to YouTube, you can grab it from your YouTube channel and get it into your Google Slides, and or you can just post the video itself. So let's look at a few more recordings. And one of the downfalls of using the extension is every time you do something, it's going to keep opening additional tabs. So just pay attention to it because sometimes you can get lost in the tabs of what you're looking for. So I'm actually going to close all these out. I'm just going to start on our TCCSA website because I want to show you the difference of how these two different ways of recording works. So I'm going to go back to my Screencastify extension. So we looked at the webcam. And you'll notice with the webcam, there wasn't a lot of extra things. It's recording you. So, Rebecca and I had talked, throughout the summer in different lessons, using Google Meet or Zoom to do recordings. Well, this is simple. So, but again, remember you have that 5-minute limit per video. So if you're doing a longer lesson, this might not be the route to go. You might have to use Meet or Zoom, but if you're going to do quick little lessons, this is great. So let's look at the desktop. So if I click on my desktop, okay, so I have my microphone, so it's recording that. I have the ability to enable my webcam, which is going to give me a little thumbnail of myself. So I'm going to turn that on so you can see what it looks like. And then my more options, I have my countdown timer and I have my drawing tools. You'll also see system audio. So if you're showing a website that has a video, so you can turn that on and it's going to record the video sound. So I'm going to hit record. You're going to see it count down. And if you look in the bottom left corner, you will see your tools. Your drawing tools will show up. And then in the bottom right corner should be a thumbnail of me. So I'm going to hit record. It's going to ask me what screen that I want to record. So I'm going to record screen number 1. And I'm going to say share. So here is the thumbnail of me. And then you'll see over here on the left-hand side are my tools. If I hover over any of these tools, it's going to tell me what they are. So, and you'll also notice that some of them have shortcuts. So some of the main shortcuts are like your mouse, your focus tool. So this allows you to highlight the clicks. The Alt F allows you to focus, which is kind of like, think of it as like a spotlight. You also have your pen tool. That one's simple, your Alt P. So this allows you to draw. So if I click here and circle something, I can do that. I also can change the color. So don't think it always has to be a yellow color. So I can draw arrows, things like that in different colors. I have my eraser tool that I can erase individually. Or if I click on my eraser tool, I have the ability to erase the entire screen. And then I can turn on and off my webcam. And you can see my webcam, it's having a difficult time because it's using the camera for both things. And then your hide tools. So your tools do show up while you're recording. So if I click on the X to hide my tools, they're not going to be in the recording, but notice that I still have my eraser tool. So if I hit Alt and T, it's going to bring my tools back and I can go back to my pointer. So the highlight clicks, you'll see when I click here, you'll see the yellow or red show up. And as I switch tabs, you'll notice that I switch tabs, it's going to open up the Progress Book login page. So then if I need to draw something here, I can say, okay, this is where you put your username. Okay. I can also turn on and off my webcam at any time throughout the recording. So I can pause here if I want, and also notice up at the top in my Screencastify extension button, there is the red record dot. So think of old camcorders, they had the red light. So if you see the red light, you know that you're recording. And if I click on that, I can stop my recording or pause from here. So I'm gonna stop. You're going to see a new tab pop up, and it is going to show that it is saving the recording. And you can see over here on the right hand side that it is saving to my drive. Okay, so it is waiting till it is completed, and then I can get my shareable link. So we'll give it a second, and I want to show you a few options that you have once it is saved. So by default, every recording is private to you. So nobody else can see it. It goes into your Google Drive and it's private unless you share the entire Screencastify folder. As soon as I click on this Get Shareable link, you're going to see this change from private to anyone with the link can view it. Okay, so it automatically does that for you. So you can see here the same options that you have for sharing a document, you are going to see here. It just calls it a little bit different because they call it unlisted. So I can switch it back to private if I want. If I want to make it public so people can search it on the web, I can change that. Or if I just want to make it unlisted for anybody in my domain. So that means that they would have to be logged into their Google account through their school Google account in order for them to be able to see it. So again, I can view it in Drive. So if I view it in Drive, it's just going to open up my Drive folder. So let's look at what else we can do besides just sharing it. So if I wanted to share this via email, things like that, this is when I would use that shareable link. But if I want to share this with my students via Classroom, if I want to put it on YouTube, then I have these options down here. Let me go back up here 1 second. So also, if I am posting this in a Google slideshow, so I want this video in a slide, I have to make sure if I'm going to post the slideshow via Classroom, I also have to make sure my video has the sharing ability that anybody can view it. Okay, so just because I shared the Google Slides, that doesn't mean it automatically changes the video within. So if you want them to be able to see the video within a Google Slide, make sure that you say get shareable link and it'll change it to unlisted. So if I want to share this via Google Classroom, I would just click Share to Classroom. It's going to pop up with little screen. So it's not my full Google Classroom, it's just little screen. So now I can say, which class do I want to share this to? So you can see here, I have all kinds of different classes. I can pick whichever one that I need. So if I want to say, okay, I'm going to share this to my remote learning, and then what do I want it to be? So just like if I was creating from within Classroom, I can create an assignment, I can ask a question, I can add it to an announcement. Remember, announcements go to the stream. They don't go in classwork. And then create material. So that means that there's no turn in or mark as done. So those are your options from here. So if I just want to say, I'm going to create material because maybe it's instructional. And then I'm going to say go. It's going to pop up with your material screen. So I can pick which classes that it needs to go to. I can pick which students. I can title it something different. It is automatically going to take the title of your Screencastify video. So if you did not change this, it'll just bring that across. You can see it automatically attaches the video to the material, and I can add it to a topic. So if I need to add it, so maybe this is for my weekly checklists or math or reading, I can click reading and it'll go into that topic area. Now, just because you post this doesn't mean you can edit it later on, but you will also see you have those 3 options that you would have as if you were in Google Classroom. So if I'm not ready to post this quite yet, I can schedule it, or I can save it to draft because maybe I want to add a few more things. Maybe I have a syllabus, maybe I have an agenda, something else that I want to attach here. Notice it doesn't allow you to attach any other information. It will only attach the video. So then in that case, if I want to attach additional things, I would save it as a draft, and then I can go into Classroom itself and make the changes there. So if I click on view, you'll see that it automatically opens my additional tab. I can go into classwork, and I forgot where I put it. I put it in reading. So you can see it's in draft mode. So now if I go into edit, now I have the full functionality. I can add additional. So if I needed to add a document from my drive, if I needed to add a file or a link, I can add all that stuff here. And then I can post it from here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to our video here. And we talked about Classroom. Now let's look at publishing to YouTube. So if you have a YouTube channel, this is also an additional way that you can share this out with your students. So maybe instead of always sharing it to Classroom, you can post it to your YouTube channel, which I'm not going to do, but by default, it will post it as private so that only you see it. You will need to make this either public or unlisted for your students to be able to view it. And typically, if you have a YouTube channel, my guess is you have things unlisted, so you give the links to the students so they can find them versus being public for everybody. But you do have to change that in order for the students to see it. And then you would just upload and it would go right into your channel. And you can see, because I already have my channel, it automatically picked it. Your first time through, you would have to make sure that you select your YouTube channel. And again, I'm going to cancel that. And I saw something pop up in the chat. That is, Kendra, that is a great idea. Yes. So especially at the beginning of the year, some of you, if you're doing some remote teaching as well as in-person teaching, make sure you introduce yourself. That's a great way, so your kids can get to know you, see what you look like, share things with them. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. So a few more sharing options. You can get the embed code if you're going to embed this into a website, anything like that. It will automatically produce the embed code for you. So you would just copy and paste this into a website. You could copy and paste it into a Google site if you wanted to by using the embed code. But most people don't use that. And then you'll see some other options. You can send it as an email, so it'll automatically compose the email with the video attached. And some of you are primary Google districts, so this works well for you. Those of you that are not primary Google districts, you might want to go the route of getting the shareable link, and you can put it into your Outlook mail. And then it'll also generate a QR code. So again, depending on how the start of school is, maybe we're having a different type of open house. You can post a QR code and kids can scan the QR code and it can be an introduction of yourself. So different options that you can have with that. So that's sharing. Now let's look at the last option. It's downloading. So we know it's in our drive. We know we can share it out. And then what else can we do with it? So it's in Drive, but we also have the ability to download it on our computer. We can export it as an MP4 because right now when it creates it in Screencastify, it is a .webm file. So that's your web movie file. You can export it as an MP4. So that's what most devices read, is the MP4 format. You can export the audio only. So maybe you put a Post-it note over the camera and you just wanted to read something to the kids, but you didn't want them to see you. So you can actually export it as just your audio. And then again, if you need an animated GIF, just, a quick, this is where you click to log in, and then, maybe where to click to get to their online curriculum, you can create a quick little animated GIF. So it changes it into a image file versus being a video file with it being an animated GIF. Okay. So we have one more way to record. But before we record our last way, I want to kind of take you through this, and I'm going to kind of just scroll through so you can see. So we were talking through here, and as I'm scrolling, you can see anything that I'm doing with the tools at the bottom. Again, they are visible. Any of my pen tools are visible. And then once I switch tabs, you'll see that it automatically switches to the new tab. And in the video, you can see all of the tabs that I have open. So the last way to record is to use the browser tab. So this is only going to use the tab that is currently open. So I'm going to do that same recording from the TCCSA website. Okay, and I want you to see the difference with this recording. So I'm going to click on my Screencastify extension and browser tab. Same options, microphone, I can enable the webcam. This time I'm going to turn it off. And then my same my same options, but notice instead of saying system audio, it is now tab audio. So if I had a video that I needed to play within the tab, I would turn that on. I'm going to hit record. It's going to do my countdown. I'm going to see my tools just like I did. This time I can use my pen tool and I can say, okay, click here. And then once I go back to my pointer, I'm going to click here. So notice that I am seeing this, and you are probably seeing this because of the screen share, but look at my TCCSA tab. It has this little window in it, and it says this tab is being shared. That is the tab being recorded. So if I come back here, I'm going to pause this. And then notice when I hit pause, I have zoom or stop. So I'm going to stop this. Now, when I look at my recording, and it should be a short recording, so as it plays, you're going to see, and notice across the top, notice you don't see the tabs. And then watch what happens when I click. It looks like I've left the page, but it stays there. It doesn't record the tab that it opens. So the reason why I want to show you this is some of your online curriculum. So if you're going to show the students how to log in, how to get to their book, maybe how to get to the lesson that they're working on, pay attention to the tabs that it is opening across the top. I know, I think it's HRW, when you log into their site, it automatically opens a new tab for the curriculum or whatever book you can get to. So just be careful with them. And in that case, you would actually have to do, the desktop recording. This is neater. It looks neater because you don't see the tabs across the screen. However, if it opens in that second tab, you're not going to get that recording. Also notice the difference, like I did, this time with the recording, because I did the browser tab, notice that it records it with the name of the tab. So if I would record this one, it would automatically name it Screencastify Google Drive. So whatever it says in the tab is going to put in the recording name, okay? So just you might want to go through one time before you do your recording to see how many tabs open depending on what you're working on, because some things don't open in separate tabs, some things open within themselves, which you could then use the browser tab. Okay, any questions? I see something in the chat, so let me check this real quick. Yes. Yes. So here's, and this kind of, Rick, this kind of goes with your question. So also the difference between my browser tab and my desktop. So, and Rick's question was asking about pictures. So that's probably something that you have stored on your computer. So, and Rick, I believe you're science. So I'm guessing you have all kinds of different pictures that you would want to show your kids. So in that case, you're going to want to use the desktop, as well as if you have a PowerPoint, if you have a PDF, if you have a Word document, anything like that that you need to get to your desktop, you're going to use the desktop recording. So I'm gonna do a quick recording, and I'm gonna choose desktop, and I'm gonna hit record. And notice it says what screen do you want to use, screen 1 or screen 2. So if I hit screen 1, I'm gonna hit share. It doesn't matter, it's counting down for me. I can be on the web, or I can minimize my screen. And if I want to open up some images and scroll through them, I can, oh, these are just of my brother for an activity we did. You can see I can just scroll through these. If I open them up, anything that is popping up on screen number 1, it's going to allow me to scroll through, okay? So that, in that case, if you're using some type of recording, then you would want to make sure, I'm going to stop sharing that. So it should stop my recording and record it. But you'll see as it creates the recording, no matter what I see on that screen, it's going to record the screen, whether it's web-based or not. So that is also a difference between using the browser tab and using the desktop version. So the desktop version allows you to pull things that are not web-based. Okay. So also another idea is if you notice, and let's see if I can show you this somehow. So also typically prior to a recording, I try to have a window set up with what I need. So you'll notice when we started, I had my Screencastify, my Drive open, and the TCCSA website. Other than that, all of my other windows, and I'll show you how crazy my screens are. So you're probably looking at this. I did not want you guys to see how many tabs that I have open across the top. Yes, it's horrible. Don't laugh at me. But I don't want that in my recordings. I don't want those in my teachings. So what I did was I right-clicked on my Chrome button down at the bottom, and I said open a new window. And that allowed me to create my new window with just the items that I wanted for my recordings or for my class. So it's a clean way to do those recordings. Okay. So any questions with recording? Lisa, I see your question. Same as a Google slide presentation then. So with a Google slide presentation, if you are going to go in present mode, you do need to use the desktop version because it opens it in a new tab. Okay. So it is still web-based, but because of how it presents when you are presenting, you do have to do the desktop version so it grabs that second tab. If not, you would just see it in the actual Google slide edit mode. Any other questions with the recordings? Right here. Okay. So let's look at our recordings and let's look at some of the options that we have. So I'm going to go back to my recordings. You'll see this button here. You will also see in your pancake menu, if I click on this, I also have the ability to go to my recordings from here. So either one is going to take you to the same place and it's going to open that new tab. So you can see that it's recording all of my recordings that we did today. So I have those all listed here. Again, if I delete from here, it will delete them in my Screencastify folder that it created, and you can see all of my recordings. It's showing up in here automatically. So now what can I do? So maybe I want to crop. So I want to take off some of the items. Maybe I realized on this one that when I was recording, oh, and that's funny. Nope, that's not a good example. Let me get a better example. So let me do this one. So maybe I noticed on this one because I forgot it was a browser tab. So I'm like, oh, at the end, there's all that extra time, but I showed the instructions at the beginning. I'm like, well, that's perfect. I want to keep the first, 10 or 15 seconds. So you have these little scissors at each end of your video. So if you notice as I'm moving and then I click, then I have all this extra time. So I can crop this out. Let's find out where I clicked right there. So now I want to crop it to there. So I'm going to just take my little scissors and I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to drag that to 11 seconds where I clicked, and then it's going to stop there. So it's going to go from 0 to 11. Now, notice it says save trim. So I'm going to click on save. And this is going to pop up, and I leave this visible so you guys can see it. But if I were you, I would actually say, don't show me this again. So trimming this video replaces the original. All trimmed footage is permanently deleted. So if you're like, oh, well, I like the whole thing, but I also want to trim out just the beginning because maybe I want to make an animated GIF from it. So what you can do is in your Screencastify folder, you can make a copy of it first. So if I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to keep that, I can say make a copy. Then I can go through and I can trim it. Okay, but again, once you trim, it is permanently altering that video. So then once I hit trim, it's going to start trimming my video, and it does take a minute because it's changing those files in your drive. And then it will show you the new video, and it says success. Okay, it's been trimmed. Okay, so that's one option that you can do. You can see up here that you have open in editor. If I click on that, the editor is where it is the pay for version. So you'll see that it's going to ask for your trial, and I was wrong. I said 30 days. It's a 3-day trial. But you have more time and so forth. There's editing tools and things like that. So when you see that, don't get all excited that, oh, I can do all this editing. That is with the pay for version. So what else do we have available in Screencastify? So we looked at our recordings. Let's look at our options real quick. So a few things when you're looking at your options, these should default to these, but just in case, and I know we had an instance with Ashland a while ago that it was not defaulted to Google Drive, it was saving on their computers instead of in the Screencastify folder. So this is where you can see it's going into Google Drive, and it says it's going to create a folder called Screencastify. And then just some of the settings. So, and by default, you can leave these on. It's just showing you what you're doing. They're pretty self-explanatory, but what I want to show you here is the keyboard shortcuts. So, I was talking about those tools, the pen tool, the mouse tool, turning on and off your webcam. And you're like, oh, she was talking way too fast. I didn't get those all written down, or maybe, I was scrolling over them too fast. View the drawing tools shortcuts here. It's going to show you all of the drawing tools. So if you want to turn on and off your webcam, Alt W. If you want to use the pen tool, Alt P. So they are going to be listed here for you to be able to see those. So you didn't have to, try to jot them all down as I was talking about them. They are always here. So again, how did I get here? So multiple ways. So from my Screencastify extension, anytime you see that pancake menu, I can click on it and I'm in my options. Okay. So what else is in here? Either place. So any place you see your pancake menu. But I also have something called Classroom Resources. So this is helpful for you. This is going to take you to that beginner's guide for getting started. So same as if you go to screencastify.com, go to schools, and you can go to resources there. Okay, so your other option that you have is your help. So if you are having an issue with something, you can click on help, and this is going to allow you to get support. So these are actually creating support tickets if something's happening. I know a few people have had issues where they can't get their camera to work even though it's turned on. So that would be a place where you would put in a support ticket. Your knowledge base. So if I click on knowledge base, this is where it's going to help you. So if you have a question about something simple, but maybe about editing or your account, this is where you can find those resources. So again, I didn't provide you with any handouts because Screencastify has all their help right here for you in the extension. Okay, questions? Comments, thoughts, anything that you want to share? Has anybody used this before with kids, without kids? And I'm going to stop sharing here. So like I said, I know towards the end of our crazy end of school year, a lot of my son's band work was done through Screencastify. He would have to do his recordings and submit through Google Classroom, any of his recordings. And it's easy for the kids because they can just add from Drive. So when they are in Google Classroom, when they have an assignment, they just say add from Drive, and it's right there. So kids have an easy time with it. Videos are 5 minutes or less, correct. It will stop you right at the 5-minute mark. You cannot go over. If you want longer time, there are other applications out there that you can use, or then you would have to go to the pay version of Screencastify. Yes, Melissa, thank you. $29 for teachers a year. Yes, it is not bad at all. I know, do I have any Northwestern, or I'm not Northwestern, Norwayne? I know you guys were supposed to get it district wide. You were going to have the unlimited version. So I don't know if any of the other districts have gone that route or not. I know people use WeVideo. I've seen a couple recordings. I have not used it a ton. I know several people are using the Flipgrid videos, which is a longer period of time. I believe it's a 10-minute video. However, then it stores in Flipgrid, and it doesn't work as well with integrating it into Classroom. So there are other options out there. Zoom, you can always do a recording through Zoom and do your screen share that way, and it automatically, as I'm recording today, it will automatically, put a thumbnail of you in the upper corner as you're recording your screen. So that's an option. Google Meet also allows you to do a recording. You don't have to have students in there. You can just record yourself that way. So, and this is great if I have any math teachers out there or science teachers. This is great for students to show their work. So they know how to alter they're recording from their phone. Well, they can't record from their phone with Screencastify, but if they're doing something else, but from their Chromebooks, they can adjust their cameras. They can show their work on how they're solving a math problem, or if they're doing a science experiment, they can aim the camera towards them. They can do the recording, and they can submit it through Google Classroom or via email if you're going that route. But I would suggest, having that assignment in Google Classroom. Melissa, yes, I know Loom is comparable to Screencastify. I don't know the cost or anything like that to it. I just know that I've seen some things where they compare Screencastify and Loom, but I get confused with Loom and Zoom, so I stick with Screencastify. And a lot of things do save directly into Drive. What you got to be cautious with is that you can use them in external things like a Google slide. You want to make sure that it will allow you to import those into there, because Google Slides does not take every video type. You guys are a quiet group today. Yes, so publishing to YouTube again. So I'm going to just open up a video that I have. So I'm going to go again, I can click on my recordings here or my recordings here. So if I wanted to publish this to YouTube, so I'll just click on this one. So once it's completed, so you just got to make sure that it has completely recorded or it saved the recording. Then I'm going to click on publish to YouTube. Once I do that, your first time through, it's going to ask you to pick your YouTube channel. So if you have one, you will pick, you'll pick your YouTube channel. You also want to make sure that you change the privacy settings. So if you want students to be able to see this, you at least have to have it as unlisted. That means you can publish it to YouTube, you can get the link, and you can send the link to your students via email, via Google Classroom, but they would have to have a link to view the video for unlisted. Public, they can go into YouTube and find it. They can search for it and find it. If you have a YouTube channel, you can give the students the YouTube channel and you can keep the videos as unlisted as long as they have the link to the channel. And then you can title it, whatever you need to title it, and give it a description, and then you would hit upload. And that's it. And then it goes right into YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Sue. Let me do this again so you guys can actually see what I did. Okay. So here's my video. I would click on publish to YouTube. So the first time through, again, right here, it's showing me my YouTube channel. It's called Shelly Baltic. So whatever your YouTube channel would display here, or if you have not used your channel, it's going to ask you to select it the first time through. Then I would have to change my share settings, make sure that it is on at least unlisted and or on public, depending how I am allowing my kids to get to my YouTube channel. And then I can title it, I can put in a description for it, and then I would click on upload. And then it would be uploaded to my YouTube channel. Any other questions? Alicia, unfortunately, it does not work with iPads because it is a Chrome extension. And I know, although you can get Chrome on the iPads, it does not allow you to install extensions for the Chrome app. Yes, Lisa, you can just provide them a link in Google Classroom. So whether you publish it to YouTube, you can go to your YouTube channel and get the YouTube link, or you can just share the video itself right into Classroom. So either way is going to, will get them into Classroom. So again, add the link to YouTube, or you can actually put the video into Classroom. Or if you click on shareable link here, you can get the shareable link that anybody, anybody with it can view it. And then it's copied, so I can post that into my Google Classroom as well. Yes. So Lisa, I know you guys are switching to Canvas, so you wouldn't be able to use that. You can either publish it to YouTube, or you can just get the shareable link and they can just view the video. So with the shareable link, it is just going to look like this. So it's kind of going to be the preview window and allow them to play it this way. Oops, and I'm not sharing my screen. I did that again, sorry. So this is what it would look like with the shareable link. So it just kind of puts it into its own little window. So then they can play the video right from here. So you can either share the link with them through Canvas or then you can upload it to YouTube. Okay, again, screencastify.com. That will get you into the website, and then you can get into those resources for the getting started guide. That will take you through all the pieces, parts of getting started. We will have these recordings on a website for the recordings that we have.